Hello everyone, RoseGoldSerpent here and welcome back to The Nest. Remember how last week I spent ages trying to get a wall around this village so I could use it for raids, and then I said I hated it and I was going to knock it all down? Well, I was not kidding. Not only have I taken down every build except the fountain, I'm also in the process of leveling the area so it's easier to build on when I rebuild this village for the purposes of the raids. Honestly, the amount of time it took me made me really question my life choices. There's a lot of digging up dirt and then just putting down dirt. It was tiring. It was a lot. It was a lot. Just getting this area level was a mission in itself, but when I set my mind to something, I ready well do it. Unfortunately, it means a lot of this process can't be used in this video because it's barren. So let's just jump ahead a teeny tiny little bit. Eventually I was able to get to work building the cobblestone wall back up. My idea with this is to have a corridor running around the whole village that I can use to see where the raids are. It'll mean building outwards a little bit and making sure the corridors are spawn proof, but I think it'll be worth it. I'll probably redecorate the external part of the wall the same way I originally did, with iron bars and wooden steps, as well as smooth stone bricks and smooth stone steps for decoration, and to make it look all purty and tang. With the cobblestone wall up, I started counting out where my stone brick pillars would go, leaving 3 blocks between each one. Because I didn't bother measuring this build before I started, there are a couple of places where it's a little bit janky on the corners, but honestly, you won't notice and I don't think anyone will care. Then I laid down a basic half slab path. Nothing too intricate, and it gave me something to do whilst I waited for more cobblestone to smelt, and it would help make the village spawn proof. So I know you guys might be thinking, hey Rose, where did those buildings come from? Well, never fear, all will be explained. You see, during this I did a combination of recording and off-screen grinding and unfortunately lost a big transitional chunk of footage. So things are going to take a sudden jump here, but I will try to explain it as we go along so you guys don't miss anything important. Onwards! So I had at this point finished putting up the stone brick pillars for the outside of the wall and was spending some time placing half slabs on the floor of the corridor around. I'd also added some basic structures in the village itself, but nothing overtly fancy. This was, after all, to be a village of war. I had built 2 decently sized houses and a sort of blacksmith's-like building with a front porch appearance. My goal once the entire village and wall is done is to trap the villagers inside with iron doors. They aren't going to be used for any trades, so job blocks are pointless, and the only reason I'm making the place so nice and putting so much effort in is to practice my building skills. I think I will likely put 2 or 3 villagers in each build, just in case a raid does somehow go wrong and they spawn inside. This way I can have backup villagers. I may even try to trap 1 or 2 of my nitwit villagers from my compound. It would save me trying to kill them and upsetting the iron golems. It's just not worth the bother. I went with birchwood along with my cobblestone and oak because it was a nice light block to contrast both of them. Hopefully the bright falsity of the village will convince the villagers I'm not using their lives for profit. I mean, I am, but maybe it'll convince them I'm not. I've also got a few dogs already here. I'm going to breed enough to live here that I won't ever have to actually partake in any of the fighting. I'll just stand and watch like Lord Bolton as my hungry pups devour my enemies. Ah ha ha. I ended up removing the cobble I'd placed by the oak corners. It just looked better without it. I won't be making the roofs out of birch, but that's because I don't have enough birch on hand and don't feel like growing any more when I have an abundance of oak just waiting to be used. I'm really not very good at roofs at all. I can never seem to get the shape quite right, but I tried really hard to get the shape here right and it only took me a handful of corrections and adjustments before I felt I'd nailed it. Because I know there's already a lot of talking over my sped up clips in this video, I've added some music this time for you guys to enjoy. Eventually, I ended up with this. I tried to make sure it wouldn't feel too flat by having the roof come forwards the same way they do in the compound village houses. Then, all I had to do was copy it onto the second house and add the actual, top of the roof in. I decided to leave the blacksmith-like build flat. I felt like adding a roof wouldn't look as good as it did now without one. Also, lately my game's been super laggy on my Switch. Has anyone else had this problem? I don't know if it's because the world's getting too big or what, but it's been really inconvenient. I then dug out the dirt floors of the houses and filled them with oak and eventually added glass for the windows. I'll need to add beds before I get the villagers in, but that's an easy enough task to do later. I could also do with a bell. I stole the one from this village when I was building the compound, but I'm sure I could trade a villager for another one. He doesn't need to know where it's going or why, he just needs to give me it. I also spent a few minutes just building some basic street lamps, using torches and fences and the like. I need to light the place up properly with some glowstone, but for now, this'll do. It's not like there are any villagers living here anyway. At that point, I remembered I was still not finished decorating the outside wall, so I started putting up the iron bars and steps and getting it all purty and tang. It took some time. I won't make you watch it. Then it was on to the next village project. This time, a watchtower. You may remember I tried to create one in the compound quite a while back and failed utterly. This time I was using a reference picture from Pinterest and essentially only a few choice blocks. I was hoping that keeping it simple, stupid, would mean that I would actually be able to make it look at least half good. It was going to require a ton more cobblestone that I would inevitably have to mine, but it'd be worth it if it came out the way I wanted. This build would essentially be a decorated square with 3 floors. A floor at the bottom, accessible by the door, which I would fill with supplies for raids and quite possibly my trophies and wins too. A second floor you'd have to climb a staircase outside to reach, and then a top floor which would be reachable by a ladder on the second floor. Up there I would be able to snipe raids with my bow while staying safely out of range of their attacks. It would also be a good place to hide should something go wrong and they were spawning inside the village and I wasn't able to fight them. It's just a nice little safety backup plan, just in case I end up bottling it. And because I'm such a pro builder, I took some of the mossy cobblestone and just sort of splattered it about the build to make it look kind of old and worn, like a not very new structure. I probably won't do this on the other builds because I want them to look pretty and new. I want this one to look kind of battle steady. But yeah, just a splattering of mossy stone bricks. I did try putting some other bricks in as well, like andesite and that sort of thing. But yeah, they didn't look very good, so I took them back out again. Once all the floors were in, I started decorating, adding stone bricks and steps to give it the blocky medieval look I was going for. And here is the final look. I've still got to add doors, but I think it's come out really well, and I'm really very pleased with it. I think it's a lovely touch to my raid village, and really shows I mean business. Look at it. Look. You can go up to the top once I figure out how ladders work. You can look around, you can see what's going on. Just gonna light it up because it's wet and dark and I don't want things to spawn. But yeah, I'm super duper happy with how this village is coming. I think it's actually probably one of the best things I've made in sort of a village setup. I don't think my other compound looks nearly this good. Oh dear. The only other thing I did after that was start adding a second floor to my corridor so I could go up to the top and walk and look around and see what was happening. But other than that, that was basically all I did for this video. And that is it for this video. As always, we do our weekly subscriber shout out, and this week is for Ms. Marie, who has a channel of her own and makes Minecraft videos that I highly recommend you go and have a look. She really does make some great content. Give her a like and subscribe. Okay, I have been RoseGoldSerpent. Like, subscribe and leave a comment to let me know what you thought, and I will catch you later. Bye!